Oh man. Alright. Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Chaf Daled of Masechta Shabbis. Today's daf is actually just kind of cool. Nothing particularly challenging here. At least I don't think it should be. It should be pretty smooth. Quick overview of what we're going to learn today together. We're going to talk about hanisim in davening and benching. Do you need to say it or don't you need to say it? I guess we'll find out. Yaaleh v'yavo on rosh chodesh in benching. Also comes up about davening as well. Okay. And we're also going to talk as part of that, do you have to say hanisim in musaf? On if it's like rosh chodesh or Shabbis, right? These kind of questions come up. And then at the end of the daf, we're going to get to a new Mishnah. A Mishnah that we actually referenced at the end of the day yesterday of Ein Madlikin B'Shem and Sreifa B'Yom Tif. And we had said because you're not allowed to burn kodashim on Yom Tif, and we're going to get into 4 reasons why we don't burn kodashim on Yom Tif. And with that, we'll wrap up the daf. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. So we're going to start on daf Chaf Daled, 4 lines into the page by the 2 dots. Here we go. Yaaleh, they ask a kasha. Hannukah b'birkas hamazon. Or do you have to mention Hannukah in benching? Now, of course, benching is a mitzvah d'oraisa, v'chalta v'svata v'rachta, and Hannukah is midrabanan. So, kevan the midrabanan hu lomad karinan. So, do we say that since Hannukah is only midrabanan, we're not going to include it in benching, which is midoraisa? Or maybe, since the whole inyan of Hannukah is Pirsume Nisa, well, not the whole inyan. Actually, Rashi had said something very interesting in a different Rashi. If you look in Rashi, on the 3rd line of the Rashi, it says, Matfila beberkas hoda. We didn't do this yet, but Rashi says there, the akula milsa de Hannukah ikar lehoda niskana. That the whole inyan of Hannukah is all about praise. So it sounds like according to Rashi, at least according to that Rashi, really the main thing of what Hannukah, what's the essence of Hannukah? It's a holiday about praising and thanking God. Well, Hodah isn't really praise, it's really thanking, about thanking God. And then I guess one aspect maybe you can argue of how you thank God is by showing people that we're thankful, and that would be Pirsume Nisa. And so there, but either way, Pirsume Nisa is certainly a big part of Hannukah. So therefore, the question is, even though Hannukah is only midrabanan, maybe because of our interest of publicizing the miracle of Hannukah, we would say hanisim in benching as well, I guess to just be mentioning the miracle as often as we can. So Amar Rava, Amar Rav Schora, Amar Rav Huna, Eino mazkir, v'imbala azkir, mazkir beodah. So says Rav Schora, says Rava in the name of Rav Schora, in the name of Rav Huna, that you do not need to say hanisim in benching. Okay? However, if you do want to, say it in Hodah, which is the bracha birkas haaretz, which is the second bracha of benching. Ala kol Hashem Elokeinu anachnu modim lach. That is where hanisim goes. Okay, so you don't have to, but if you want to, you can. Okay. Rav Huna bar Yehuda ikla levei Rava. Rav Huna bar Yehuda was visiting Rava. Sovrlad kur b'boni Yerushalayim. And he thought that he would mention Hannukah in Boni Yerushalayim, which is the 3rd bracha of benching, which is generally where we say Yaaleh v'yavo. So, I don't know if the point is that meaning Rav Huna bar Yehuda thought to say Yaaleh v'yavo for Hannukah. Amar Luhu, so it says here Rav Sheshes, but there's a note that says it's Rava, and then the note sort of explains why it says Rava's, because it wouldn't make sense to be Rav Sheshes, because after all, we're at Rava's house. Maybe Rav Sheshes was there, but I don't know, like what's Rav Sheshes doing here? So, the Gemara says Rava. Fine. So the change is to Rava. We'll do it for consistency. Amalu Rava kitfila. So Rava said to Rav Huna bar Yehuda, says, no. Don't say it in, don't say, mention Hannukah in Boni Yerushalayim. Rather, do it just like we do in Shemona Esrei, in davening. Matfila be'odah, at Birkas Hamazon be'odah. Just like in davening, we say hanisim in modim, in the bracha of hodah, of giving thanks. So therefore also in benching, we will say hanisim in the bracha where we give thanks, which is Birkas Haaretz, ala kol. So, and that's what we do. That's what we do, l'maisa. We say hanisim in the bracha of ala kol in benching. And if you forget to say hanisim, you don't have to repeat benching, right? Unlike something like, Ritzei on Shabbis or Yaaleh on Yom Tif. If you forget hanisim, you don't have to repeat it. Could be that pshat is like Rav Huna, that he says Eino maskir and Bala maskir maskir, that you don't have to mention it, but if you're going to mention it in Birkas Haaretz in Hodah. So that's what we do. We say hanisim in Hodah, but if you forget it, so you forgot it. So if you had a chiyuv to say it, then if you forgot, you would have to repeat it. Okay. So now they move on and they ask another question. Do you have to say Yaaleh v'yavo in benching on Rosh Chodesh? Okay, let's find out. So even if you want to say that Hannukah, which is derabanan, you don't need, right? We just said that you don't need to say hanisim in Hannukah, in benching on Hannukah, but that maybe that's just because Hannukah is only midirabanan. Rosh Chodesh, however, is midaraisa, right? The pasuk says in Parshas Bo, "HaChodesh hazeh lachem rosh chodashim." So since Rosh Chodesh is midaraisa, maybe you mamish need to say benching, to say Yaaleh v'yavo in benching, and mistama, if you would forget it, you would have to repeat benching. O Dilma came to lo asur basiyas melacha lo mazkarinan, or maybe since you're allowed to work, you're allowed to do melachas on Rosh Chodesh. It's not asur b'melacha. It's not forbidden to do melacha on Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, maybe you don't need to mention Rosh Chodesh in benching, right? Maybe you only say Yaaleh v'yavo in benching when there's a day that's asur b'melacha, which is not the case by Rosh Chodesh. So let's find out. So Rav Amar Mazkir, Rabbi Chanina Amar Eino Mazkir. Okay, machlokas, nice clean machlokas between Rav and Rabbi Chanina. Rav says you do need to say Yaaleh v'yavo on Rosh Chodesh, and Rabbi Chanina says that you do not need to say Yaaleh v'yavo on Rosh Chodesh. Okay, fine. In benching. Amar Rav Zrika, and said Rav Zrika, Nikot de Rav biyadach. You should favor Rav's opinion. Rav Zrika says that you should favor Rav's opinion and say that you would say Yaaleh v'yavo in benching Rosh Chodesh. And I don't know, I guess, right, mazkir means tzarich lazkir, right? Kilu, you have to say it. And that would sound like if you don't say it, then you'd have to repeat Yaaleh v'yavo mistam. You'd have to repeat benching, it sounds like. Let's see. So, Dikai Rabbi Oshaya Kavase. So, favor Rav's opinion over Rabbi Chanina's opinion because Rav Oshaya, a Tana, holds like, says in line with Rav's opinion. The Tani Rabbi Oshaya, the Rabbi Oshaya taught, Yomim sheish bohen korban musaf. So on days that have a musaf korban, a musaf offering, right, in addition to Shacharis, in addition to Tamid Shel Ben Arbayim, Tamid Shel Shachar and Tamid Shel Ben Arbayim, right, the korban that they bring in the Beis Hamikdash in the morning and in the afternoon, they also had a musaf offering. Kigon Rosh Chodesh v'chol Hashamoed. Such as on Rosh Chodesh, there's musaf, and that's why we daven musaf on Rosh Chodesh, as well as on Chol HaMoed, right? So on these days, Arvis v'Shachris u'Mincha mispal Shmona Esrei v'Omer me'ena ma'ora ba'avoda. So on these days, in Mariv and in Shachris and in Mincha, so you daven Shmona Esrei and you say Yaaleh v'yavo in Ritzei, right? Meaning where we say it, right before Modim. V'imlo Amar machzirin also. And if you don't say Yaaleh v'yavo in Ritzei, so then you have to repeat Shmona Esrei. Now it's interesting because on Rosh Chodesh at night, at Mariv, then you actually wouldn't have to repeat Shmona Esrei, right? I think it already came up in Masechta Brachos, right? Since we're not we're not Makadosh the Chodesh at night. But anyways, Vein Boen Kedusha ala Kos. You don't say Kiddush on Chol HaMoed, and you don't say Kiddush on Rosh Chodesh. V'yeshboen azkara beverkas hamazon, and you do say Yaaleh v'yavo in benching, right? But again, on Rosh Chodesh, if you forget Yaaleh v'yavo in benching, you wouldn't have to repeat benching, and that was also Gemara and Brachos, because since you don't have to bench on Rosh, since you don't have a chiyuv to eat bread on Rosh Chodesh, therefore, if you skip benching, then you wouldn't have to repeat. If you forget Yaaleh v'yavo, you wouldn't have to repeat benching. Okay, fine. Yom she'en boen korban musaf, on days that don't have a korban musaf, on days that don't have a korban musaf, kigon sheni v'chamishi, such as Monday and Thursday, v'ta'anios u'ma'amados, as well as public fast days, so that there should be rain, and ma'amados, if I remember correctly, it's Gemara in Tainus, or the Mishnayos even in Tainus, so basically there would always be these Yisraelim, right? So we always talk about Kohanim and Levim in the context of like the service in the Beis HaMikdash, but there would be these Anshe Ma'amados, right? The Anshe Maimad. And what they would do is they would basically, I think they would have like a shift where they would spend a week just like praying that all the korbanos and everything like that should be accepted l'ratzon, properly. If that's correct, if I remember that correctly. Anyways, Rashi says that they would fast on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of that week. Okay? So on these days, so now the Gemara interrupts us for a second and says, wait a second, Sheni v'chamishi maya v'ditayu. What's this Sheni v'chamishi thing, right? We just said that, however, on days where we don't have a korban musaf, such as on Monday and Thursday, and on fast days, and on these ma'amad days. What's Monday and Thursday? No, so Sheni v'chamishi v'sheni shel ta'anios. No, the Sheni v'chamishi is referring to the Monday, the Thursday, and the Monday of these fast days. That when there would be a public fast for rain, so it wouldn't just be a one-day fast, it would be a Monday and a Thursday and a Monday fast. It's called Behab. Beis, Hey, Beis. Beis being Yom Sheni, Hey being Yom Chamishi, and then followed by another Beis, which is Yom Sheni. That's like a thing when you want to like pray for like mercy, so you do like a Monday, Thursday, Monday thing. And anyways, fine. So what it means is that, however, on Monday and Thursday and Monday of fast days, Ma'amados, as well as the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of these Ma'amados where they would fast, Arvis v'shachris u'mincha mispal shmona esrei v'omer me'ena ma'ora b'shmei tefillah. So we're saying that on these fast days, you would, in Mariv and in Shachris and in Mincha, so you would pray Shmona Esrei and you would say me'ein ama'or b'shmei tefillah. That is the prayer of Anenu in Shomea Tefillah, right? Now, we only say when we're fasting, on fast days, we only say Anenu in Tefillas Mincha, right? The Chazan says Anenu in Shachris, but we only say it in Tefillas Mincha. We don't say it at all in Mariv, right? So Rashi says that actually, in the Rashi Dibra Maskil Arvis, so he says that even though they used to say Anenu, right, they used to say Anenu in all three prayers of the fast day. However, out of concern that maybe for whatever reason you'd have to end up breaking your fast, in which case you would turn out retroactively to sort of be dishonest in your prayer when you were saying Anenu, let's say at Mariv, and then you ended up eating the next day. So therefore we only say it at Mincha, which is at the end of the fast, when we can be fairly certain that if we made it this far, then we can, we're probably going to finish the fast. So we say Anenu at Mincha. And Rashi also points out, which is interesting, is that we're saying it Anenu at night, even though we're actually eating still at night, because the fast only starts the next morning. But I guess since we already intend to be fasting the next day, we start saying Anenu the night before, which is interesting as well. Okay. V'imlo Amar ein machzirin also, and if you skip Anenu, so then you don't have to go back and repeat Shmona Esrei ve'en boen azkar b'berkas hamazon, and you don't mention anything in Berkas Hamazon at all, and that would be, the night before. Let's say you're not going to say it if you're eating, even though you're still eating, you're not going to say anything with Berkas Hamazon. And I think Rashi even points out that as well. Kilu, let's say the next night. Oh no, that wouldn't make sense. No, but the night before, even though it's sort of a day that you're going to be fasting, you wouldn't say Anenu. There's nothing to say in Berkas Hamazon. Fine. Great. So we see that you would say Yaaleh v'yavo in benching of Rosh Chodesh, since it's sort of one of those days that has a musaf offering. But if you forget it, I don't think that you actually have to go back and repeat it. which is interesting because Rashi was pretty clear that when we say mazkirin versus lo mazkirin, it's like, are you chayav to say it or not? And I assume that chayav implies, like, if you forget to say it, you'd have to go back. Yet we seem to be saying over here that you're chayav to say Yaaleh v'yavo and rosh chodesh in benching, yet if you forget it, you wouldn't necessarily have to go back. I don't know, I wonder why. You know what? Maybe the nafkamina would be if it's Rosh Chodesh that falls out on Shabbos. Oh, maybe that's the nafkamina. What if it's Rosh Chodesh that falls out on Shabbos? Or, I don't know if Rosh Chodesh can ever fall out on Yom Tov. But anyways, what if it's Rosh Chodesh that falls out on Shabbos and you forget Yaaleh v'yavo? So there you had to be eating the meal, and therefore you have a chiyuv to bench. And if you forget Yaaleh v'yavo, then maybe you'd have to repeat benching. Yet, if it was also Hannukah, because that happens, right? Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, Hannukah. So maybe if you Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, Hannukah, and you forgot al hanisim, but you remembered everything else, you wouldn't have to go back. But if you forgot Yaaleh v'yavo and you remembered everything else, you would have to go back. Maybe that's pshat. Okay, let's go weiter. Ibailu, the asakasha. Ma'u la'askir shel Hannukah b'musafin. So on Musaf, on Hannukah, right? Because Hannukah is 8 days. So Memela, you're going to have a Shabbos in there. And also, Hannukah is at the end of the month, right? It starts on the 25th of the month and it goes until sometimes it's the second day of Kislev, sometimes the third day of, no, not Kislev, Teves. Sometimes it goes till the second day of Teves. Sometimes it goes till the third day of Teves, depending on if it's 1 or 2 days of Rosh Chodesh. I know that because my birthday is the third day of Teves. Most years it is not part of Hannukah, but every so often my birthday is the last day of Hannukah. But in any event, the question is, on Rosh Chodesh and on Shabbos of Hannukah, do you have to say, al hanisim in Musaf? So do we say, Kevin delays ve Musaf b'didei, lomad karinan? Do we say, look, on the one hand, Hannukah doesn't have Hannukah doesn't have Musaf. There's no Musaf offerings on Hannukah. Therefore, you shouldn't say al hanisim in Musaf on Hannukah. Or maybe, no, I don't care that Hannukah doesn't in and of itself have a korban musaf, but today's Rosh Chodesh or today's Shabbos, and on this day we have 4 prayers, and when you pray on Hannukah, you say al hanisim, and therefore you're going to say al hanisim in musaf on Hannukah. Rav Huna Rav Yehuda Amri Tarvayu Eino Mazkir. So Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda both say you don't say al hanisim in Shmona Esrei in Musaf on Hannukah. Rav Nachman Rav Yochanan Amri Tarvayu Mazkir. Rav Nachman and Rav Yochanan say that you do say al hanisim in Musaf on Hannukah. Amar Abaye the Rav Yosef. So Abaye said to his teacher Rav Yosef, Had Rav Huna Rav Yehuda de Ravhu. So Abaye said, look, the opinion of Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda that you don't say al hanisim in Musaf on Hannukah is really just the opinion of Rav. The Amar Rav Gidl Amar Rav, because Rav Gidl said the name of Rav, Rosh Chodesh shechalios b'Shabbos. So what if you have Rosh Chodesh that falls out on Shabbos? Okay. Hamaftir b'Navi b'Shabbos. So somebody who gets the Haftorah in Shul, and he's going to read the Navi, right? The last Aliyah of the Torah on Shabbos. And utzarich la'azkir shel Rosh Chodesh. So I guess in the bracha that he makes on the Haftorah, right? Because afterwards, let's say on Yom Tov, you say Mikadosh Yisrael ve'ashabbos, right? Mikadosh Shabbos v'Yisrael ve'azmanim, something like that. After the Haftorah, right? So the question is, do you have to mention Rosh Chodesh in the bracha that you're going to make on the Haftorah? And he says that you do not mention Rosh Chodesh in the bracha for the Haftorah on Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. She'ilmalei Shabbos ein navi b'Rosh Chodesh, because Rosh Chodesh inherently doesn't have Haftorah, right? Rosh Chodesh inherently doesn't have Haftorah. On Rosh Chodesh we don't say Haftorah. The only reason why we're saying Haftorah right now, or technically Haftarah, but everyone says Haftorah. It's really just because it's Shabbos. So therefore, since we're only saying Haftorah right now because it's Shabbos, we're not going to say anything about Rosh Chodesh. And therefore, to apply it to our case, Hannukah doesn't inherently have Musaf. And therefore, the only reason why we're saying Musaf right now is because it's either Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh. But we're not going to mention anything about Hannukah because we're really only saying Musaf because it's either Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh. But then the Gemara says, Midami? Come on. You can't compare that. Hasam Navi b'd Rosh Chodesh leka klal. Hacha isi ba'arvis v'shachris u'mincha. It's not a good comparison because Navi on Rosh Chodesh simply doesn't exist. There is no Haftorah on Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, the only reason why we're saying Haftorah is because it's Shabbos, and that's that. So Rosh Chodesh doesn't play any part. However, saying Al hanisim on Hannukah, you said it at Shachris, you said it at Mincha, you said it at Mariv. So we're already saying it in other prayers. So the question is, do we additionally say it in Musaf? Right? So it's not, right, Al hanisim isn't like something that really has nothing to do with today. The question is just, can we apply it to Musaf, even though we've already, we've been saying it at the other prayers, can we say it at Musaf too? Whereas Haftorah on Rosh Chodesh really has nothing to do with Rosh Chodesh. Ella leha damya. But rather, it is similar to the following statement of Rav. To Amar Rav Achdavui, Amar Rav Masna, Amar Rav, that says of Achdavui in the name of Rav Masna, in the name of Rav, Yom Tov shechalios b'Shabbos. So if Yom Tov falls out on Shabbos, okay, Hamaftir b'Navi b'Mincha, so the person who gets maftir at Mincha, the Haftorah at Mincha, which is another minhag that we seem to not do anymore, right? Rashi says, in the Rashi, Amaftir b'Navi b'Mincha b'Shabbos, he says, Matzasi b'Tshuvas ha'Gaonim, shayregilim likros b'Navi b'Shabbosos b'Mincha asar psukim, uvimei parsim gazu gzer shalasos kein, v'chein nistalku nistalku. Apparently, once upon a time, at Shabbos Mincha, they would read Haftorah, they would read from the Navi. And apparently during the time of the Persians, there was some kind of decree that they can't do that. I don't know why they cared so much about decreeing that you can't say Haftorah at Mincha on Shabbos, but anyways, that was the decree. So they stopped doing it, and it never returned. But anyways, what if you have Yom Tov that falls out on Shabbos, and now it's Mincha, and you're reading Haftorah? Now the only reason why you're reading Haftorah is because it's Shabbos, right? You don't read Haftorah at Mincha on Yom Tov. So we say, Ein sarich lahazkir shel Yom Tov she'il malei Shabbos einavi b'mincha b'Yom Tov. So you don't mention Yom Tov at all in this Haftorah, since the only reason why you're reading this Haftorah is because it's Shabbos, not because it's Yom Tov. If it was just Yom Tov, you wouldn't be reading this Haftorah, therefore you don't mention Yom Tov at all in this bracha on Haftorah. So now it's already a good comparison. Because Haftorah, right, you do at Shacharis on Yom Tov. You say Haftorah, you read the Haftorah at Shacharis on Yom Tov, which means that already today, since it's Shabbos and Yom Tov, Yom Tov is a day that you would read Haftorah. However, since you wouldn't do Haftorah at Mincha, which is what we're doing right now, therefore you're not going to mention Yom Tov at all in the bracha for the Haftorah, since the only reason why you're reading Haftorah right now is because of Shabbos, even though we read Haftorah in the morning that was relevant for both Shabbos and Yom Tov. So therefore it's applicable to this case, which is, even though you're saying Al hanisim in Shacharis, Mincha, and Mariv, but the fact of the matter is, you're only saying Musaf right now because it's either Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh, therefore you're not going to say Al hanisim. Okay? But guess what? We do say Al hanisim in Musaf on Hannukah, because the Gemara says, V'lei silchasa k'chol al nishmaitza. The halacha is not like any of these things. It's not like Rav Yehuda, it's not like Rav Huna, it's not like Rav Achdavoy, it's not like Rav whoever the other rabbi was. Who was that other rabbi? Rav Giddel, I think. Yeah, it was Rav Giddel. Not like any of them. Rather, Elakihada Amar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Rather, it's like what Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says. Yom HaKippurim shechalios b'Shabbos. What about when Yom Kippur falls out on Shabbos? I feel like it happens pretty often. But when Yom Kippur falls out on Shabbos, hamispal ne'ilah, somebody who's davening ne'ilah. Now, ne'ilah, there's only one time a year when you say ne'ilah, and that's on Yom Kippur. Tzarich la'azkir shel Shabbos, because Yom Mushin is chayav bar b'tfilis. So Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, who was a very, very early Amora, he was a first generation Amora. So he says that when Yom Kippur falls out on Shabbos, so at Ne'ilah, you're going to say sort of the Shabbos parts. Even though the only reason why you're saying Ne'ilah right now is because it's Yom Kippur, you're never going to say Ne'ilah on Shabbos, and still you're going to say the Shabbos bits. So, why? It's because, what is it? Yom Mushin is chayav bar b'tfilos. It says, look, this day is chayav in 4 tfilos: Shacharis, Mincha, Musaf, and Ne'ilah. And Rashi points out that for whatever reason he's not including Marav over here from the night before. And at every prayer, you're going to say the Shacharis bit, the Shabbos bits. So here also, Hannukah, right, when you have Rosh Chodesh or Shabbos on Hannukah, okay, it's a day that has a chiyuv of 4 prayers, including Musaf. So therefore, in Musaf also you're going to say Al hanisim, because every single prayer on Hannukah requires Al hanisim, and that's the halacha. Okay, very, very good. Fine. So now the Gemara asks, Kasha hilchasa hilchasa, but one second. Okay, so it's very nice that we just said that on that at Musaf on Hannukah you're going to say Al hanisim, because it's the day that is chayav in prayers, in 4 prayers, and at every prayer you're going to say Al hanisim. Fine. But one second, we have another halacha which seems to contradict this. Amar tilchasak Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. On the one hand, you're saying that the halacha is like Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, and therefore you're going to say Al hanisim in Musaf on Hannukah, that's Shabbos or Shmoneh Esrei or Rosh Chodesh. V'kaimalan, but we also hold hilchasa karava. But we also hold that the halacha is like Rava in the following case. The Amar Rava, Yom Tov shechalios b'Shabbos, that if Yom Tov falls out on Shabbos, okay, Shliach Tzibur hayored lifnei ateva arvis, that the Shliach Tzibur, who is the Chazan at Mariv, Eino tzarich la'azkir shel Yom Tov, he doesn't need to mention Yom Tov in the bracha, right? Meaning on Shabbos after Shmoneh Esrei, the Chazan says like Magen Avot b'dvaro Machayim Esim Mamaro, whatever, and then at the end he says Baruch Hashem Mekadesh Shabbos. He doesn't have to mention Yom Tov. She'ilmalei Shabbos ein Shliach Tzibur Yored Arvis b'Yom Tov, because if not for the fact that it was Shabbos, well, there wouldn't be this Mein Magen Avos bracha for Yom Tov. So therefore, you don't have to mention Yom Tov now that he's saying it on Shabbos, because it's only coming because it's Shabbos. So, like, what's pshat? On the one hand, we are saying, like Rava, that we do follow this logic that, if you're saying something only because of, let's say, Shabbos, but you wouldn't say it in Yom Tov, then you wouldn't include Yom Tov. Yet, we're also at the same time passing like Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, that, like, for example, you would say the Shabbos bits in Ne'ilah, even though you wouldn't say Ne'ilah on Shabbos generally. Right? And the same thing, we're saying that to say Al hanisim in Yaaleh v'yavo, in Shmoneh Esrei at Musaf, even though you wouldn't generally say Musaf on Hannukah. So the Gemara says, yeah, but there's a reason for this. Hashta hasam, when it comes to this Magen Avos on Friday night, Badinu da'afilu b'Shabbos nami lo tzarich. Really, you don't even need to say it on Shabbos. So why do we say it? V'rabbananu d'takune mishum sakana. The rabbis just instituted this bracha of Magen Avos after Shmoneh Esrei on Friday night because of the sakana. What was the sakana? They're worried that, so Rashi says that interestingly, that their shuls back then used to not be in the city. It used to not be where the people lived. It would be out in the field. I don't know why, but their shuls would be out in the field. And therefore, if somebody got to shul late, then they would also finish their davening late, and we don't want them to have to walk home alone because of the mazikin. We're worried that they might get damaged by these evil, demonic spirits. So therefore, they added this extra bracha to kind of stretch out the davening a little bit to make sure that everybody will be finished together, and everyone can walk home together. You don't have to worry about the mazikin. Okay, fine. So really, therefore, you really don't need to be saying this bracha at all. Because you don't need to be saying this bracha at all, we're not like super makban and we say, look, just because it's Friday night and people might get there late, so the Chacham said to add this bracha, but you don't have to also, include Mariv, Yom Tiv. But over here, right, it's the day itself, right, Yom Kippur itself as a chiyuv, of all these tefillos, and you're going to mention Shabbos and all of the tefillos, right? And on this day in Hannukah, which is either rosh chodesh or Shabbos, it has a chiyuv of 4 tefillos, and therefore in each of the tefillos you're going to say al hanisim. Okay, fine. The Mishnah then continues and says that you do not light your Shabbos candles with fat from a sheep's tail or with chalev. Okay, and then we said, Nachum Amadi said that you're allowed to use chalev that's been cooked and made into like some kind of melted fat. And the Chacham say echad mevushal v'echad she'eno mevushal ein madlikin bo. You can't use chalev whether it's cooked, whether it's not cooked. So the Gemara asks, Chacham ma'inu tanakama. The Chachamim, who say that you're not allowed to use chalev whether it's cooked or not cooked, are they saying the same thing as the Tanakama who says that you're not allowed to light with chalev, implying any kind of chalev? So the Gemara answers, Ika benayu de Rav Brona Amarav v'lo Masaime. The nafkamina is Rav Brona Amarav. Rav Brona Amarav said on Daf Chaf Aleph Amar Aleph, right, that you would be allowed to add a little bit of oil, of kosher oil, to this melted chalev, and then you can light with it, right? So the Gemara says v'lo Masaime. We don't know who says what opinion, but apparently, between the Tanakama and the Chachamim, one of them would say that you would be allowed to use melted chalev that you added kosher oil to, and one of them say that you would not. That would be the nafkamina between the two, but they would both agree that you wouldn't simply just be allowed to melt down chalev and use that. Okay, cool. We finished the first Mishnah of Perek Bameh Madlikin. Moving on to the next Mishnah. Ein madlikin b'shem tzreifa b'yom tiv. So we don't light, Yom Tiv candles with shemen sreifa. And we said yesterday at the end of the daf that shemen sreifa is oil of truma that is tameh. You're not allowed to light with oil of truma that is tameh. And we explained according to Rav Chisda that it is because, I think it was maybe Rav Chanina who said it. So Rav Chanina was just explaining Rav Chisda. But Rav Chisda said it's because we don't burn kodashim on Yom Tiv, and because we don't burn kodashim on Yom Tiv, we're also not going to burn this tamei truma oil on Yom Tiv. Okay. Continues the Mishnah. Rabbi Shmuel Omer says, Rabbi Shmuel e madlikin beitron mipnei kvod Shabbos. Rabbi Shmuel says that we don't light candles on Shabbos with tar out of kavod Shabbos because it doesn't smell good. The Chachamim allow you to use any oil, right? So up until now we've basically been talking about the oils that you can't use, but other than that, the Chachamim say that you can use any oils. B'shemen sumsumin, sesame oil, b'shemen agozim, nut oil, b'shemen snonos, turnip oil, b'shemen dagim, fish oil, b'shemen pakuos, squash oil, gourd oil, be'itron, tar, uveneft, which I don't know, it was just, the Safari defined that as nafta, I don't know, neft. Rabbi Tarfon Omer, madlikin el b'shem mezayis bilvad. Rabbi Tarfon says, no, you got one option, that option is olive oil, and that's that. Okay? Says the Gemara, my time, how come you're not allowed to use this tamei truma oil to light your Shabbos candles, to light your Yom Tiv candles? Because we don't burn kodashim on Yom Tiv. Okay, since we don't burn kodashim on Yom Tiv, korbanos that are pasul, things like that. So therefore, we also don't burn this oil that is truma tmeya that needs to be burnt. Okay, but the Gemara says, how come we don't burn kodashim on Yom Tiv? Because as Rashi points out, right, how come there's an inyan to burn, for example, when it comes to nosar, right, when it comes to korban pesach, it says that you have to, right, lo sosiu mimenu ad boker, don't leave any of it over till the next morning. V'anosim mimenu ad boker be'esh tisrofim. Whatever is left over till the morning, you have to burn. Okay? So you have a mitzvah saseh to burn, this pasul kodashim. And Shabbos is a lo saseh, which is lo sasa kol malacha. Don't do any malacha, including lighting a fire to burn. But I would think that in general there's a concept which is called aseh docha lo saseh, that a positive commandment sort of pushes away a negative commandment. So I would think that the mitzvah saseh of ba'ish tisrofu should override the lo saseh of lo sasa kol malacha, and say that I should be allowed to burn kodashim on Yom Tiv. So the Gemara wants to know, how do we know that you're not allowed to burn kodashim on Yom Tiv? So the Gemara brings 4 different opinions. We're going to start with the opinion of Rabbi Chizkiah, of Chizkiah. So Amar Chizkiah, v'chintana devei Chizkiah. So Chizkiah said, it was also taught in the Bismedrish of Chizkiah. Amar Kra, the pasuk says, v'lo sosirim imenu ad boker. Do not leave over the Korban Pesach until the morning. V'anosar mimenu ad boker. And whatever is left over until the morning, ba'ish tisrofu, you have to burn. So the Gemara says, she'ein tam v'lomer ad boker. It says in that pasuk ad boker twice. Right? It says, lo sosirim imenu ad boker. V'anosar mimenu ad boker. We don't need that second ad boker. You could just say, lo sosirim mimenu ad boker, v'anosar mimenu ba'ish tisrofu. Right? Or ba'ish tisaref. No, tisrofu. You don't need that second ad boker. So what do we learn from that boker? That second ad boker. Matam v'lomer ad boker. How come it says ad boker a second time? Ba'kasuv litein lo boker sheni l'sreifa. So to say that you don't burn it immediately the next day, right? Whatever you leave over from your Korban Pesach until the morning, you don't burn it that morning on Yom Tiv. Rather, ad boker, until the next morning, until a second morning, right? So you wait till the next morning, and then you can burn whatever you didn't eat on from the Korban Pesach. So whatever you don't finish from the Korban Pesach, that's it. You leave it alone. It's possible you can't eat it the next day. You have to burn it. But you don't burn it on Yom Tiv. You burn it the following morning after Yom Tiv. Okay? Abaye Amar Kra olas Shabbos b'Shabbato v'lo olas chol b'Shabbos v'lo olas chol b'Yom Tiv. So it says about the Korban Musaf on Shabbos. It says olas Shabbos b'Shabbato, that it's the Korban Ola of Shabbos on Shabbos. It has to be the Ola of Shabbos on Shabbos. It can't be, you can't be burning any korbanos that are from the weekday on Shabbos, right? If you didn't get them on the Mizbeach before Shabbos, you can't put them on Shabbos, which is interesting because on Daf, Chaf Aleph, Amar Aleph, I think, we said that, or Chav Beis, whatever it was, we said on one of these, what was it, in the context of, it was by the Medura. So it was on Daf, oh gosh, now I can't even remember. Oh, there it is. Beis Chaf Amar Aleph, Daf Chaf Amar Aleph. Right, we said that, Lo Sevaru Eis B'chol Mosh Vosechem, but you are allowed to burn chalav ivarim ufdarim that didn't go on the mizbeach right before Shabbos, so you're allowed to burn them on Shabbos, which is interesting because Abaye seems to, I guess, hold differently. That was Rav Chisda's opinion. Maybe Abaye argues. Anyways, and he's saying that you're not allowed to put any korbanos from the weekday on the mizbeach on Shabbos or on Yom Tiv. So we see that you're not allowed to burn kodashim on Yom Tiv. Okay, fine. Rava Amar, said Rava Amar Kra hu levado ye'asalachem. It says that on Yom Tiv, right? Ach asher, what does it say? Ach asher yo'achel chonefesh hu levado ye'asalachem. Only food, things related to food, are you allowed to do on Yom Tiv, right? So on Yom Tiv you're allowed to prepare something for food, for ochel nefesh, but that's the only exception, right? Hu levado, it itself. Now the pasuk, right? So we say, you don't need the words hu levado, right? You could just say, what's hu levado? So Rava learns out, right? Hu levado ye'asalachem, hu v'lo machshirin. So you're allowed to do ochel nefesh, but you can't do any of the meta stuff related to ochel nefesh. So you wouldn't be able to, make a knife to be able to cut with, to be able to cut your food. You wouldn't be able to make a skewer, right? These are all the sort of meta things have to be done before Yom Tiv, but the actual cooking of the food itself and things like that would be acceptable. Levado v'lo mila shelo bezmano, ta'aseh b'kav v'chomer. Oh, and from Levado we learn out that mila shelo bezmano would not be able to bris mila shelo, which is not the time, right? So if it's the 8th day, so you would be allowed to do bris mila on Yom Tiv. However, if it's not the 8th day for whatever reason, so then it would not be doche Yom Tov. And he says, right, that we're going to learn out later on Daf Kuf Lamed Beis and Beis. We're going to get into that, but there's a Kavachomer over there that I would have thought to say that even Bris Mila Shelo Bizmana, not at its proper time, would be doche Yom Tov. So therefore, this puzzle says Levado and says no, Levado to exclude Bris Mila that is not at its proper time. And therefore, right, we sort of extend that to say, right, if Bris Mila, which does have a specific time, which is the 8th day, and if it's Shelo Bizmana, it wouldn't be Doche Yom Tov, well then something like burning kodashim, right, which doesn't have a specific time that you have to burn it, so then certainly it would not be Doche Yom Tov. And finally, Rav Ashi Amar Shabbason, right, it says in the context of Sukkot, right, that the first day of Sukkot will be a Shabbaton, as well as Shmini Atzeres, which is the 8th day, right, the day following the 7 days of Sukkot. It also says Shabbaton, which is like an aseh, right? We're saying that you should rest, right? Meaning, as opposed to like lo aseh of lo ta'aseh kol melacha, which it also says in the context of Yom Tov, right? It says right, kol melacha lo ye'aseh b'hem. It says that by Pesach. So it says lo, right? It says not to do melacha, but it also says Shabbaton, which is like an aseh. So therefore, you have an aseh and a lo ta'aseh. And therefore, even though Rashi explained earlier, and we explained why I would think that you would be allowed to burn kodashim on Yom Tov, right? Because it says, right, ba'esh tisrofu, which is a mitzvah aseh, right? And there's a lo ta'aseh of not doing malacha, so I would think that an aseh would be docha lo ta'aseh. But Rav Ashi points out that this actually isn't the case. By Yom Tov, it's actually not an aseh versus a lo ta'aseh. There is actually an additional aseh of to keep Shabbos to keep Yom Tov, and which makes it, therefore, in the context of Yom Tov, there's an aseh of Shabbaton and the lo ta'aseh of kol melacha lo ye'aseh v'hem, right? And therefore, the singular aseh of ba'esh tisrofu will not be strong enough to push away the aseh and lo ta'aseh of Yom Tov. So therefore, v'hayale Yom Tov, v'havale Yom Tov aseh v'lo ta'aseh, ben aseh doche es lo sa'aseh v'aseh. And a single aseh of ba'esh tisrofu will not be enough to push off and override the lo ta'aseh and the aseh, which are involved in keeping Yom Tov. Wow. Okay. Very cool. Let's recap. So what did we learn? We started off by saying al hanisim and davening and benching, which is actually interesting because the Gemara didn't actually say anywhere. It just kind of assumed that you're going to say al hanisim and davening, right? In benching, we kind of, learned out from Persumei Nisa. Like we actually had the question, right? Do you include it in benching or not? But we just assumed that you say it in davening. I guess for Persumei Nisa. Okay. Also, maybe that this is an assumption. Maybe you could prove from here that that davening is midrabanan, right? Because the only reason why we thought to say not to include al hanisim in benching is because benching is midaraisa, which might imply that the fact that we didn't even have this question by davening is because davening is derabanan. Okay, fine. Okay, great. And then we also spent some time figuring out if we should be saying al hanisim in Musaf on Hannukah or not. Ultimately, we said yes. Okay, we talked about saying Yaaleh v'yavo on rosh chodesh, which we do because we brought in that brisa which says that whenever you have a korban musaf, so then you're going to say Yaaleh v'yavo in Shmona Esrei, okay, and in benching as well. Fine. And then we just at the end over here we talked about how come you can't burn kodashim on Yom Tov. We had the 4 opinions. We had Chizkiah, who learned it out from the fact that it says ad boker twice, to teach it until a second boker. We had Abaye, who says olas Shabbos b'Shabbato, not olas chol on Shabbos or Yom Tov. We had Rava, who learned it out from hu levado, from the miut of hu levado, to teach not that bris milah isn't doche Yom Tov, and therefore neither is burning kodashim. And then we had Rav Ashi, who said that the mitzvahs aseh of b'esh tisrofu will not be docha the lo aseh and the aseh of Yom Tov. Wow. Okay. Cool. I feel like sharing together this daf was actually more complicated than I thought it would be, but I think it was a cool thing. Not too complicated, just a nice little mental exercise for the day. So, anyways, I hope everyone has a great day. Thanks for learning with me. I really enjoyed it. Peace.